Hey guys, Ryan here, coming to you from the road, because sometimes that's what you gotta do. Lots of news coming up, you guys. Let's talk a little bit, starting with what's been happening in the sport. Now, we've seen WAL come and go, and I can tell you that without analyzing those matches too much, my predictions, although the breakdown of each match was not 100%, I called the winner of every single match in that last WAL event. Now, not bragging or anything, but I think that it was pretty good analyzing and knowledge of what was going to transpire at those events, and they unfolded almost as expected. The big surprise for me was that that Michael Todd was able to defeat Dave Chafee, and it was fairly one-sided. The win itself, not unexpected. The way it happened, yes, a little bit unexpected. So what that does for me is it plants seeds of doubt in the next match when Chafee moves on to face Devin Larratt at the next WAL event. One would think, though, that the horsepower is still in Chafee's favor, but as far as endurance goes, Devin is, well, he used to be second to none in that department. Now I think he's got lots of competition at the top in the endurance department. It's going to be a fun match, and these guys genuinely seem to have a dislike for each other. Dave remaining sort of quiet about the subject, and Devin pushing through and playing all the cerebral games with Dave. I hope Dave's just not paying attention and shows up ready to go. Now, the big news coming up in the last couple of days here is that Matt Mask is not going to be arm wrestling Monster Michael Todd at the next WAL event. When I saw that match, Monster Michael Todd versus Matt Mask, I was excited about it. I was excited about it until I saw the fashion with which Michael Todd beat Dave Chafee. And stylistically, I think it was a bad match for Matt. The way that Matt hits just goes straight into a King's move. And if Devin Larratt's King's move can stop Matt, well, Michael Todd's King's move sure as hell can stop Matt. So, and that being said, Matt's coming off of a loss. He's almost in a must-win situation here, I think. I mean, I do think that he is well-liked amongst the WAL fans. So he ends up getting a match with, and I don't think I'm offside here. I was talked to a little bit about coming in and doing that match, but timing wasn't right. I'm still not 100% from my last match with Jerry. And it's 4 days after the Canadian Nationals. So now we're up to, we are facing the match that was made, which is Sylvain Perron versus Matt Mask. It's an interesting match. The last high-profile match that Sylvain had was against me 5 years ago, and it was at UAL 9. Anyone remember UAL 9? It was the Mike Gould Classic. And Sylvain and I were both in the same weight class of the same tournament. It was not a super match. I managed to come out on top that day, and I hit right through Sylvain. In that match, Sylvain tore his bicep. Now, I am almost 100% sure it was his right bicep that was torn. And he was out of commission for quite a while. And then I had heard recently that he was training. He was getting ready. And the one thing that sometimes happens when you tear a bicep and you have it surgically reattached is that it actually makes your arm a whole lot stronger. And there's some physics that come into play there with where the attachment is redone and stuff like that. So let's look at that. Say that Sylvain, if he's training, he could be an animal. He could be super strong. He did show up at last year's Nationals. He did not pull. Or the Nationals in Montreal. He was on the after table for a while. I did not get a chance to lock up with him. He respectfully declined, and I did not arm wrestle with him, but I know he's been training, and if his arm can take a hit, then he might be able to do something with Matt. In the strap, if he stops the hit, maybe. That being said, though, it's like I said, I don't think he's going to do it. I think Sylvain is coming in to lose this match. I think Matt's going to hit right through him, and you're going to see Matt come out with a win and get some momentum going into the next WAL event or the finals, whichever appearance he may have coming up next. It's still, for me, a very entertaining and a very intriguing match, which many of them are until match one is over. That's the problem with this matchmaking where there's unknowns. The most entertaining match is sometimes match one, and the rest of them are just, they're already laid out in front of you. Some exceptions to that rule. Krasimir versus Barboza. Every one of those matches was fantastic. But when you have somebody that's dominant, like Matt, if he hits right through Sylvain on match one, I think he's just going to keep hitting right through Sylvain, and it's going to be over. If Sylvain puts the brakes on at any point in that match stops. I think Sylvain is known for bringing it back from the depths, and we'll see what's up. But it's an intriguing match. It's good to see Sylvain getting some recognition. The man is a legend. He's been around. He's one of the longest active pullers in a very, maybe in Canada. He might be the longest running active puller in Canada. You know, there's some exceptions, maybe Crazy George, but I mean, Sylvain has been arm wrestling for a very long time. Anyway, more on that later. We'll do a full prediction show. And the full prediction show will be on this channel. It won't be on the next thing I'm going to talk about, because I'm going to keep this channel going, as well as my next venture, which I'll talk about in a minute. This one will be primarily for training and things like that, and I'll continue to put out videos here and there and keep this one going. But Arm Crossfire, you saw the announcement, or maybe you didn't, but you should check it out on Facebook. Facebook.com/Arm Crossfire is the new show with your hosts Espey and Gobby. Now, how did this come to be? Well, as you know, Arm Hub is no more. And Arm Hub put out a video basically saying that it's Gobby's fault. He's leaving because he didn't want to do the show with Joseph or whatever it was. The three guys weren't getting along. They weren't all seeing eye to eye on the future of that show. So without the parts all coming together, they decided to hang it up. And the three of them have moved on. They've announced that Arm Hub is canceled. So if you think back a few months, or go back a couple of months, I did an interview with Chris Gobby, one of my 10-minute segments. And there was some good banter, some good back and forth, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. And then somebody even threw out there, hey, you guys should do a show. So we never really revisited that ever. And then when Arm Hub was canceled, I sent him a message, just joking. I said, so when does our show start? And he sent me back the LOL. And, you know, some time passed. And I'm not talking days, I'm talking hours. And I get a message back saying, you know, it would probably work. And then a few of the reasons why it would work. And I agreed, and I ran it by some people, and yeah, it would probably work. We both have we both have our attributes that we bring to the table. That's why there's a bit of a yin and a yang as our profile picture on our Facebook page. So we're launching this thing. We're going to do it. Gobby and I are going to do a weekly episodic show. We are going to talk about all things related to arm wrestling. These shows are going to drop on Mondays, starting on July the 22nd. We will occasionally have guests on the show. We are not going to do it via Facebook Live at first. We are going to record these shows, and we are going to record a couple days in advance for posting on the following Monday. So the content will be well thought out. We'll talk about different subjects. We are going to have ways of communicating to us by Q&A through the Facebook page. We have our email address, which is canadiangangsters@gmail.com. canadiangangsters@gmail.com. Send us a message on Facebook, send us an email, send us your questions, suggest topics that we should talk about. Gobby is one of the most polarizing individuals in the sport of arm wrestling. Maybe I bring some credibility to the table as far as competitive background and titles won, although Gobby in his own right is a Canadian champion. So we got a lot of stuff that we're bringing to the table. We're going to make an entertaining show, and we're going to build this thing right from the bottom up. So go to the YouTube page, go to the Facebook page, hit like, hit subscribe. You will not be let down by this show, I guarantee it. So we're going to be recording in a couple of weeks, and the reason we're doing that is because we want to get nationals in the past. Gobby needs a little bit of a break between shows here to decompress a little bit after the whole Arm Hub stuff, and then we're on, and we're going to do it, and it's going to be tremendous. But I mentioned nationals. Canadian National Arm Wrestling Championships, July 13th and 14th in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, is coming up. And I'm going to try to put together a prediction show for that, but it's going to be tough. There's a lot of classes at the CAWF level. And then we're dealing with a whole bunch of controversy about WAF versus IFA, where I'm sure we're going to talk about that. That will be talked about at the annual general meeting. I wouldn't expect a decision from the CAWF on which one they're going to back at that meeting. There's one big issue, and that's the fact that so many people have already committed to go to the World Arm Wrestling Championships that are being run by WAF. So there are some other things going on there. We need to talk somewhat politically about that. But I have rambled on long enough. Ladies and gentlemen, the big news is WAL's having an awesome event. The other big news, the Canadian Nationals are coming up. But the biggest news is that Arm Crossfire with Espey and Gobby is coming up July 22nd. Tune in, and I will see you on my own channel, this one, next week.
There is no limit to how strong a human man can be. And it's a disgrace to see a human being grow old without ever recognizing how strong he could be. And that's just my belief.